Hello and welcome to FrankieSense and More. It has been months and months since you have seen this visage on FrankieSense. You have seen us on Mission Unstoppable. But today, I am so excited for you guys because today I am featuring with me none other than Brent Marchant. He is the Good Media Network movie correspondent and critic. And for those who don't know Brent, and even those of you who do, is his debut as a visual person. To date, he has been a voice in the dark. He's the author of Get the Picture, Conscious Creations Go to the Movies, Consciously Created Cinema, The Movie Lover's Guide to the Law of Attraction, for which he was a 2018 National Indie Excellence Award finalist. And third real conscious creation goes back to the movies. So he does know from which he speaks. Yes. We are going to be talking about some fantastic movies today, and I'm really, really excited to share these with you. So Brent, I'll start with you. Let's take it away, and we'll see where we go. Let me get the movie poster. I got to share that. Hang on, let me put it up first.
Before we actually talk about the films, I just want to talk a little bit about how things have changed.
Yeah, okay, good
over
idea.
the past 6 months. I mean, movies have really undergone a lot of restructuring in the past 6 months when movie houses got closed down. You've seen a tremendous rise in streaming, particularly from a variety of services that are offering pictures that maybe wouldn't have ordinarily received wide recognition through theatrical distributions, which personally, I think that's a really good thing. It's getting exposure for movies that might not have otherwise even been heard of. You've seen the return of drive-ins.
Yeah.
where if you want to get all the people, all your family in the car and go and watch a movie at a pop-up theater outdoors, well, now you can.
And Walmart starting them, drive-in theaters, I read.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, the one group of party that really has been hurt, obviously, is the theater owners. They're just now beginning to reopen. And a lot of people are still skittish to go back because they're concerned about virus contamination and so forth. But I can tell you, having been to theaters myself, they are taking very stringent steps to really control things and have, minimal issues for moviegoers. They're restricting attendance. They're deep cleaning between shows. They're requiring masks. So they're making a very diligent effort, which is a good.
So I have a question because my husband and I, as you know, twice a weekend at least we went to the movies, and we were very diligent about it, and we haven't been, and we're like, but I thought, how are people going to eat popcorn? They have to take their mask off.
Well, that's the one time they allow you to take your mask off.
So that's like the whole movie.
Or to lower it, So I mean, it's the same as like if you were going out to dine out in a restaurant.
Which makes no sense to me, Brent. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know.
A lot of things about these days don't make a whole lot of sense to me either. I mean, they want you to keep 6 feet distance between people. Yet now airlines are allowed to sell their cabins to capacity, including the middle seats. So
none of it makes sense.
No. So, but no, I've gone to the theater. I've lived to tell about it. I haven't gotten sick, and because people are still afraid to go. I mean, the attendance is really very low.
Yeah. And thank God, Netflix and other agents like them, Prime Video and Apple TV, they've really kicked up their game a little bit because, man, a lot of people have been staying home and they've been, like you said, watching their movies and looking for entertainment. And with the TV production not, nil, because they weren't making anything at all. So there's been no new shows. We've been living off of all of those, wonderful shows and movies that are streaming. And so thank you, all you guys who made that for us, because we would have probably gone out of our heads.
Oh, exactly. Well, and another new development that's going to be coming in the next few months, we're coming into film festival season. A lot of film festivals are going virtual this year.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to be in the city where the festival is taking place to watch movies that might ordinarily never get a chance to see unless you were there geographically. Yeah. So I'm really thrilled about that because this is going to open up.
What kind of a price tag are they putting on it? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure usually at film festivals, there's a per ticket, screening price, like usually maybe like, 10 to 15 bucks per movie, something like that. So I'm guessing the price is probably going to be somewhere in the same price range. But you're not having to buy a ticket for each individual now. If you're streaming it at home, you can just
and they're not putting on
TV.
on galas and banquets. They should pass that price on to all the people who could come to the film festival and just give them a great price and say, hey, everybody come, come to TIFF, come to Cannes, come to wherever. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive step. I think it's one that you'll see carry on even after this year, and after things clear up, because I think they're going to realize they have a much potential for a much greater revenue base coming out of something like that.
Yeah.
So,
and how exciting to be able to see those movies, because often you read about them and go, oh man, I would love to see it. You're never going to see it in a theater.
Yep.
It's never going to come here. But yeah, that's really exciting. That is a great development. All right. So do you want to go to our first movie?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you so you guys can see bear with me. I haven't done some of this stuff for a long time.
Well, one thing I wanted to let listeners know is that because the distribution channels and so forth are so different now from what they used to be, I've kind of organized my reviews a little bit differently in terms of letting people know what is what, why I'm saying this in a particular context and so forth. So we're going to start with my current theatrical release. This one is also available for streaming, but this one is playing in the theaters. It's called Fatima, and it's a faith-based film that tells the story of the Virgin Mary visions that were seen in Portugal in 1917 by 3 young children. And it tells their story as they're trying to convince a lot of skeptics about what happened, but also deal with the throngs of faithful who absolutely believe them completely and crowded them for each of the subsequent visitations. Faith-based movies, a lot of times, are kind of corny. I mean, they're so sugar-coated that they're almost impossible to watch for me. But this is kind of a breakthrough production in the fact that it offers high-end production values, it offers good acting, it offers a couple of named performers in Harvey Keitel and Sonia Braga,
who I love, and Gore Vishnak. He's like one of my favorite. I just always love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it really has kind of kicked up the game. Now, the one problem with the film is that it doesn't really make the revelations of what happened at Fatima as clear as it probably could have. It's a little more muddled than it should be. The film also tends to focus a little more on the skepticism than on the faith aspect, which is really, for me, the driving force for wanting to see a movie like this.
Right.
But I really see this as a kind of a breakthrough film in this genre, in the fact that they're upping their game finally. And that's good because there's no reason why faith-based movies can't be well done.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why the fans of these films shouldn't be entitled to see quality movies.
Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't sugary. It wasn't sweet. It was, emotional. It was, yes. but it made you think, because, I'm sitting there going, in a country so Catholic and so, Christian and just so faith-based, that as soon as a miracle happens, it's like everybody just kept, stop lying, don't lie to us. It's kind of like this dichotomy of, wait a minute, you're supposed to have faith and you have a zero faith that these children saw anything, right? I mean,
it was at a time when Portugal was kind of on shaky legs with establishing a secular government for the first time,
and the World War was
World War I was going on. Their soldiers were being lost. So yeah, I mean, there was a very ominous background surrounding the times that they were living in. So having the faith to get the prediction that the war was going to end soon, the people were going to be okay, that had to have been reassuring. So
but that sun thing, that was crazy. I mean, I hadn't heard about that, but very interesting. I happen to stream it on Apple TV. So if anybody has Apple and you want to buy it, you can rent it on Apple.
And it is in theaters if you're willing and adventurous enough to want to go out and see it. So, but I also believe it's going to be available for pay-per-view on a number of cable systems as well. So
I would think so. Yeah, I would definitely think so. It was a little expensive, I thought, for yes,
this is the most that I've paid to watch a movie on streaming. most of them are running in the ranges of like $7 to $12.
Yes.
This one I think I paid 19 for. So.
Yes, and if you're Canadian, it's like 23, I think.
Yeah, so it is a little bit on the pricey side.
It was a little pricey, but a good movie. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. And again, I love Sonia Braga, and her niece is like one of my most favorite people. She's on Queen of the South. If anybody watches that one on Netflix, awesome. Alice Braga.
Well, and the other thing that's really interesting with Sonia Braga too is that she's someone who has definitely grown into older parts as she has herself aged. I mean, when she was younger, she was definitely like, you know, this Brazilian bombshell type.
Yeah, very.
And now that she's aged very gracefully, and she's ingratiated herself into these roles perfectly. So
I don't even think she looks as old as she's made up in this movie. No. I think she looks younger than that in real life. And the children were wonderful. I thought they were really good.
Oh, they really were. I mean, it's, you know, this could have been a case of, you know, the children almost becoming cloying in terms of their attitude and so forth, but they were very natural. So.
And interesting that the two younger ones became saints a couple years ago. That's interesting.
And it's not, the other thing I find kind of interesting is the timing of this film and the fact that the two younger children both died about a year after they had the visions, and they were victims of the 1918 Spanish flu.
Yes.
So there's kind of an interesting
kind of synchronicity going on.
Yeah, a little synchronicity going on that's kind of interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Maybe they're saying, you know, everything's gonna be okay. Who knows? Hope so. You ready to go to the next one?
Yes, I am.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so this is my streaming pick right now. It's a film called Song Without a Name. It tells the story of a Peru in the late 1980s when the country was going through considerable turmoil economically and politically. There were terrorist attacks, there was rampant corruption, there was runaway inflation. And a lot of the people who were, you know, not part of the elites of society were really being taken advantage of in so many ways, particularly like the native villagers, who is the lead character in this film. Her name is Georgina. She's a 20-year-old woman who's pregnant. She's got kind of an unreliable partner who she lives with. She can't really afford prenatal care for her baby. So she hears a radio ad advertising a free clinic that women can avail themselves of. And she was naturally thrilled that this was seemingly an answer to her prayers. Ended up going there, getting care, going back to give birth. And shortly after she did give birth, her baby was taken away and she never saw it. And she was absolutely distraught over what went down. She went to the authorities, they weren't much help. She went back to the clinic a number of times afterward, it was closed. And again, her child was nowhere to be seen. So with really no other options left, she ended up going and paid a visit to one of the newspapers, where a reporter joined forces with her to investigate, went on and discovered that there was an infant trafficking ring going on, where the children were being taken and sent to adoptive parents overseas, being told that the children they were receiving were orphaned because of, you know, terrorist attacks going on in the country.
Was this in the 70s? I think it was.
It was the late 80s.
Late 80s, okay.
Late 80s,
yeah. This was the only one I wasn't able to stream. And yeah, for some reason. And I really, really wanted to, but I did see trailers and things, so I got the gist of it. And
it's excellent. I mean, it's
I could tell it was excellent.
It's a major news story that's handled in an extremely personal way. It's one of the things I really liked about it. It's
filmed
also
in black and white, which is
filmed in black and white. It's gorgeous.
Love that. Yeah.
The cinematography in this reminded me a lot of Roma.
It did. I was going to say that. This reminded me of Roma. The feel of it reminded me of Roma.
Yeah. Only I thought it was much better than Roma. But,
yeah.
And the lead performance by Pamela Mendoza was just outstanding. I mean, this is a performance that really deserves a lot of wider recognition.
She was in what else has she been in? I recognized her.
I'm not really too familiar with what else that she's done. I think she's mostly done work in South America. So
yeah.
This is one of the first times I think her work has been released outside of the country. So,
but it is with subtitles, so if you know it's not in English.
Yes.
If you guys don't like that, unfortunate for you because some of the best movies aren't in English.
But it's beautiful to look at. It's very touching. My only real criticism with it is that it had a few other kind of secondary story threads that weren't as developed as fully as I would have liked. The reporter, for example, who she works with is gay, and he can relate to what she's going through because he's sort of a disenfranchised minority, as she is. Mm-hmm. But his story is not quite developed as fully as it could have or maybe should have been. But I guess they didn't want to detract from it too much. So
yeah, it's a lot to go. That's a lot. It's a lot to put into one movie.
But the director of this film, Melina Leone, this is her debut feature, and I was really very impressed with the way she handled this. It's certainly a very visionary way of handling a story that could have been much more conventional, otherwise. Yeah. And she chose to do something different with it, and make it work.
Yeah, it looks like an amazing film. Kafkaesque, as they say. Yeah, really, really. I hope I get a chance. I think it might eventually come.
It may art house it may get to some festivals this year.
Yeah.
Because it really hasn't been too widely released. So.
Okay. My favorite.
Yes, this is my documentary pick for this week.
Just love this.
And it's Mr. Soul, which is a film that explores the first Afrocentric network television show that was on the U.S. Came on in the late 60s at a time when mainstream television was pretty white bread as far as its programming and its characters and so forth. So at the National Educational Television, which was the forerunner of PBS, they came up with the idea to do what was essentially like a black version of The Tonight Show, with a focus on arts and entertainment, and featuring all African-American performers. And it was, had some tentative steps when it was getting off the ground, but once it got going, it just attracted this captive audience. It's estimated that something like 65% of the nation's African-American households were watching this show on a weekly basis because it was something where they finally felt that their community was being given a voice.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact, though, that it helped to introduce and launch the careers of a phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe everybody in there. And they talked about Ellis opening up his black book and magic coming out because he knew everybody. He just knew everybody. And if he didn't know them, or he did know them, they were nobody when they first came on, and they became somebody, and probably because of him. But Ashford and Simpson, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder,
Roberta Flack, Kool and the Gang, Night and the Pips, Bill Withers, Curtis Mayfield.
There you go. Yeah,
the list
everybody.
Just goes on and on and on and on.
And that's just the performers. Then there's the dancers and the Alvin Ailey group and all of those people and the poets and phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, you weren't seeing that kind of stuff on television anywhere else, and even on Caucasian-based shows.
So it wasn't just entertainment. It was a commentary on a culture. And
he also, was not afraid to interview controversial figures either. In terms of, he had on Louis Farrakhan, he had on Muhammad Ali at the time when he was battling being drafted.
Yeah.
Revolutionaries like Stokely
Black Panther.
Just tremendous. It's just a tremendous.
And he was openly gay. Oh my God, in the 60s, 70s, early 70s.
We're talking only a year or two after the Stonewall riots. This was really groundbreaking for him to be that open about stuff.
Yep. Phenomenal.
So this film has such an incredible wealth of archive footage, and it's all really well preserved. It's worth the price of the ticket just for seeing that.
Oh my God, yeah. And you can get it anywhere, really. You go on, and I think I got it from the Roxy. I streamed it from the Roxy somewhere. But there's like I don't know, at least 30 movie theaters that you can just pick and choose. It doesn't have to be in your city. I don't even know where the Roxy was. Maybe it was New York. Who knows? There's Roxys everywhere. But I got to watch it. So you guys can get to watch it too. And it was reasonable. It was like
I can't recommend this one highly enough. It's really well worth the time. It also features a number of voiceovers from the show creator's own writings, that it's narrated by Blair Underwood, and that those make nice bridges between the segments. So very well put together all the way around.
And Melissa Hayslip is his niece?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his brother's daughter,
yeah.
And who's featured, Dr. Hayslip. He was featured in the show.
Oh, his cousin, Dr. Harold Dees.
Oh, yeah, his cousin, Harold. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So that's nice.
Rush to see this. It's really worth it.
So good. Okay.
Okay, now this is
I'm laughing. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'll tell you after why I'm laughing.
This is my my home viewing option for the week. DVD or any other source you want to draw from. The Last Full Measure. This is a film that came out in theaters in January, and it's really kind of got the shaft for having to come out then, because January is typically sort of a cinematic wasteland when it comes to new releases. Everybody's so busy going to see award season offerings that they don't go to see the new stuff, and it tends to get buried. And this film definitely did not deserve that kind of treatment. This really should have been an award season release in and of itself. It tells the story of a group of veteran soldiers who are seeking to have the Medal of Honor bestowed upon one of their colleagues who, during the Vietnam War, rappelled down into a war scene that was essentially an ambush of American troops. And he had to go there because the on-the-ground medic was injured and could not treat the wounded. By him going into this war scene, he ended up treating and saving the lives of approximately 60 soldiers before being killed himself in the battle. And when the war was over and they sought to bestow the accolades on his performance, he was given the Air Force Cross, which is certainly a distinguished award, but they really want him to get the Medal of Honor, which is the highest award that you can give. And it was denied. And for reasons that were never really fully explained until many years later, when a group of his colleagues worked with a Pentagon official to understand what exactly was behind the denial. And this is a movie that just absolutely moves you on every front throughout the entire film.
Such a good movie. I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah.
My husband loves war movies, and I downloaded this movie, and I'm like, oh, you're going to be such a treat tonight. We're going to watch this movie, and you're going to love it. Finally, something that we'll watch together. And I don't know, halfway through, whatever, he got up and he left, and I don't know why he did that. But at the end, he goes, was it good? And I'm just like, I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm crying, and he goes, oh, it must have been a really good movie, huh? I'm like, yes.
Yep.
And it's a true story. This is a true story. And he always loves true stories, so I was surprised. He'll probably go back and watch it. But wonderful Ed Harris and oh my God, that's so.
The cast is phenomenal. I mean, William Hurt, Christopher Plummer, Ed Harris, Samuel L. Jackson, and the one who I was really impressed with was Peter Fonda.
Yes,
this was his last performance,
and it was dedicated to him.
You could almost tell on his face, I think, that he knew something was going to happen. There was an earnestness in his portrayal here, unlike anything I've ever seen him do before.
Yeah.
Just a terrific,
really, really good movie, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody would love it. And like, this was supposedly the bloodiest battle that ever, occurred. And there's some really, really wonderful highlights and high points in this movie. And of course, you cry because it's emotional, but a good emotion. It was a good emotion.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it sends a very different kind of message about war also. I mean, it is a war film, but in many ways, it's very much an anti-war film too.
Yeah, and just that his group, all of them wanted him to get this medal. It was important to them that his family get this. It was posthumous, right? That get this medal for him, and they
wanted to bestow it also before his father passed on.
That's right.
32 years after the battle, his dad was ailing, didn't have long to live. They wanted his dad to be able to see him get the award before he died.
Beautiful.
So yes, I can't recommend this one highly enough.
Well, you're gonna have a week full of movies to watch, people.
Yeah.
You can't be bored.
Well, my next one is one to avoid. And this is currently playing in theaters. This is the Christopher Nolan film Tenet. And this was the picture that the movie industry was hoping would draw people back into theaters. And I have to say that I was kind of disappointed in it. In many ways, it's got great special effects and good action sequences, but it's so hard to follow that you almost need a pause and rewind button.
So what is this about?
To be able to, well, it's science fiction.
Okay.
It has to do with whether or not time can go both forward and backward.
Okay.
And where it gets into the intersection of where the two meet, and in terms of the potential impact that it could have in creating a calamity worse than a world war in many ways.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's got an interesting premise, but it's just, it takes so much technical explanation to get its point across that you end up sitting there almost like feeling you need to have a notepad. Kind of, okay, write this down and remember it for later on in the film, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, Christopher Nolan is a terrific director. I mean, he's made movies like Dunkirk, and he made the Dark Knight trilogy. He made the suspense thriller Memento a number of years ago. And when it comes to doing, you know, historical films and action films, he's really good at that. When it comes to science fiction, he just, for me, always seems to keep coming up short because the stories get too complicated. They require too much explanation. And he oftentimes makes a lot of compromises in his basic premises to be able to tell the story properly. That was the case here. It was the case with Interstellar a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it was true to a certain extent with Inception 10 years ago.
They're hard concepts to convey.
They really are.
Yeah.
And, you know, it certainly for an audience that's interested in things of a metaphysical or you know, alternate nature. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting stuff, but you know, when it makes it so difficult for you to follow what's taking place, then what's the point? I mean,
yeah,
I kind of wish he would sort of stay away from sci-fi for a while, because it's really not his strong suit, even though the films that he makes in that genre tend to be the ones that end up being the most popular of his offerings. So, all
right, let's go back to screen share. Where are you? Here we go. All right, I forgot that they can't see us when I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, so on these last three films I'm looking at, these are movies that are still available for streaming. I just wanted to give them a quick message. The first one is The Secret, Dare to Dream, which is a film that is a romantic love story through which viewers are explained how the law of attraction works. The movie is kind of corny. Its quality is kind of about on par with what you see in a lot of made-for-cable movies. But the one thing I liked about it is the fact that it does a really good job of explaining how the law of attraction works without overly burdening the story in doing so. That happens with a lot of self-help, metaphysical kinds of films, and the fact that they allow their material to intrude too much on the narrative. That doesn't happen here. It gets very deftly woven into the story, which is good, even though the story itself is kind of predictable and, you know.
But do they do it so that people understand? It's like you don't just wish for it to come and it's there, or is it, you know, because the secret itself was missing a little bit of stuff, I felt.
It basically kind of shows the synchronicity that takes place between what intent you put out and what you get back in return.
Okay.
And in many cases, how quickly it can happen.
Okay, so, that's cool.
So it's, you know, it's an okay film, but it's not groundbreaking cinema. So.
But I like Josh Lucas. He's cute. He's a cutie. I don't know, something about his personality.
Now then we also have.
I love Ron Howard. So
Rebuilding Paradise, a rare documentary from Ron Howard that tells the story of the effort to rebuild the town of Paradise, California, in wake of the 2018 wildfire that's basically destroyed almost the entire town.
Oh my God! And here we are again.
Yeah.
Here we are again.
Ron Howard's skill as a storyteller really works wonders when it comes to being employed in a documentary context, because he turns it into a story, even though it is a true, a true story.
Right.
Features a number of very moving case studies of people who survived the fire. It features a lot of extremely dramatic cinematography showing the aftermath of the fire, but also some incredibly, and I do mean incredibly, scary footage that was taken in the midst of the fire as it was unfolding. But this one will have you on the edge of your seat at many times.
Wow.
It will also evoke a lot of emotion. Just
now, did
really
you stream this, or how did you watch this?
Yes, I streamed it. It's pretty widely available because it was a project that he worked in conjunction with National Geographic.
Okay.
So if you go to the National Geographic site, you might be able to find out how to get to it from there.
I just want to say that I have been really, I guess I'm going to say the word burdened, but I know it's not the right word. But with these fires, and about all I can think about are the animals, the animals who are displaced and killed in these, this horrific fires out in Oregon where my sister-in-law lives, and we had phone callers that they actually saw people across the street burning, like starting fires in hayfields. Like they started fires. Like it's incredible to me. And these fires are displacing all kinds of millions of acres of wildlife. And like, where do they go? Like they just die. And it really, really hurts. It hurts my heart so much. So please, pray for their I don't know, their safety and how to stop these things. And
something else this film brings up too, and these are things that you don't think about when you think about a wildfire, is the fact that because virtually 95% of the town was destroyed in this fire, it burned everything. And in the course of burning everything, it released all kinds of toxic chemicals into the environment that are there. I mean, they're not going anywhere. So, I mean, in addition to having to deal with the aftermath of the fire and the destruction it caused, you've got this enormous environmental cleanup that has to be done if they're ever going to rebuild there, because it's just not safe in some places to breathe the air.
Yeah.
Not to drink the water. I mean,
horrific.
This raises a lot of questions about the impact of wildfires that you probably ordinarily would not think about at first glance.
Like I know that people are they're talking global warming, and yes, possibly, but when you have humans out there starting fires because it's fun, like, come on, this is ridiculous. I mean, it goes beyond absurd even. I hope that they find them. I really do. I hope that they find them, and I don't know. I don't even know what. It really, really bothers me. But this sounds like a really good documentary.
It's a very good film.
And you think about the firefighters who lose their lives, and the people who lost a lot of their stuff. I interviewed a woman who was in the midst of this fire, and everything's gone. Everything was gone except for one statue in her backyard. I mean, that was it. Your whole life. Whew. It's a tough week for this one. But thank you for that one.
And on a lighter note, just to round things out.
Aww, look how cute he is.
My final film, again, I saw it through streaming. It's a French comedy called My Dog Stupid.
Yeah.
It tells the story of a very put-upon, successful author who deals with a very ungrateful family. His wife and his adult children basically, suck him like a sponge in terms of being able to support them and so forth.
Oh, I don't think I showed everybody this movie poster.
And basically,
where's the poster?
He's grown tired of it. So he ends up adopting this stray dog that wanders into his backyard one day. And it's kind of his way of, giving his family the middle finger, I guess you could say, because they can't stand the fact that they've got this big slobbering dog in the house now. But it ends up putting him on a new path that helps him to kind of reclaim his power, and also to get a perspective on why did his family members become such big problems to live with, you know. So it's a starts out as kind of a sort of a typical French farce,
Yeah.
but ends up getting a little more substantive as it plays out. So I recommend it highly. It's fun, it's touching, and very insightful in a lot of ways in terms of helping people understand, you know, why things work out the way they do.
Wow. Well, Brent, these are great movies. And like, you know, Brent had to help me stream because I couldn't figure out how to do some of it. But I finally figured it out, how it all works. And if I can, you guys can too. Yes, like we said, Fatima was a little expensive, but you know what, if you think you're not going out, you're not spending the $50 it takes for a couple to go to the movies and the popcorn and the treats and the whole bit, because it cost us almost $40, you know, each Saturday and then Sunday, which is crazy to think about, to go to the movies. So you get to watch these in the comfort of your own home. You can make your popcorn for cents on the dollar, and if you want it, and really
And, you know,
enjoy some quality stuff.
Yeah, the other thing too is I had a lot of people asking me over the course of the summer. It's like, how are you seeing all these new movies if theaters are closed? Well, you know, I ended up locating some of these sources online. Some of these streaming programs have partnered with film centers and independently owned theaters.
See, that makes more sense to me, to be able to go to a theater and stream it from the theater, to be able to go to Apple and stream it on Apple, you know, to rent it from them instead of owning it. Like, that makes sense. Like, that's easy.
Yeah, and this has helped to keep those other institutions in business throughout all this. I mean,
yeah.
No, it's been a very good win-win situation for everybody. So,
are you watching these on your television now or on your
computer?
On a computer? Okay, because my kids warned me. They go, "Ma, you're gonna get all kinds of viruses and yada yada." But I've been watching. The only one I had to watch on my iPad was Mr. Soul. The other ones I got to watch on my television. So that was really nice. That,
I think you could probably, as long as you've got an internet connection to whatever device is available, you can probably do it there. So
you have to buy it on, like, I had to buy it on my phone or iPad, and then once it was purchased on there, then you got to watch it on TV. Yeah. So it makes it easy.
And it's, you know, really the process is really pretty simple. I mean, you end up going to the website for these streaming services, you sign up, create an account, pick out which movie you want to watch, click a couple buttons, and you got a movie. Yeah. And you know, you usually get anywhere from 2 to 7 days, sometimes as much as a month, to watch the film. And
48 hours once you start to watch it, I think.
Yeah. You might be a little bit limited in terms of how much time you have to complete it once you start, usually 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
But then there are other ones where you can watch as many times as you want during your rental period. So if you liked it and you want to watch it again, or if you want to have family and friends over to watch it, you can do it as long as your rental is still valid. So,
well, I just want to say thank you to the producers and the artists for continuing to make great stuff, because I would be lost without entertainment, that's for sure. I mean, I don't turn it on during the day usually, but I definitely need that.
Well, you know, this is a technology that the mainstream studios and distributors have sort of been kind of dancing around for a while now. And they haven't really implemented it in a big way because they didn't want to hurt their theater connections. They've been doing it a lot for, you know, the second run opportunities, you know, after it's already been in theaters, things like that. But now they've had their hand forced. And the one thing that has surprised me a little bit is that the bigger studios and distributors haven't stepped up more than they have when it comes to offering the streaming stuff. You're seeing the independents really being much more aggressive, which, I mean, I'm glad for them because it's getting them attention that they wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah.
I would like to think that the studios are going to have to step up a bit more. I think you're going to see more of that now that we're coming into award season. I saw, for example, that the film Antebellum, which is getting ready to open this weekend, is going to be in theaters and streaming. I think you're going to see a lot more of that now. They almost have to at this point.
Man, they've got, I mean, the movie theaters, like the AMCs with the 12s and stuff, they've got so much, you know, in land and rental fees and stuff. They got to do something because people aren't coming, man. They got to make their money somehow. They're losing, you know, gazillions of dollars every week. So other than having, you know, people go there and do workshops, makes sense. I mean, they streamed from the Met to the movie theater, so now we can just stream, directly to your home, and it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much.
Go back to the movies, people. I mean, there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah.
A lot out there, and there's a lot of good stuff. And it's good to see at a time like this because, frankly, we need it.
Yeah.
We need the diversion.
Yeah, we definitely need the diversion. We need to feel good too. You'll be back next month with some more movies, hopefully.
Yes,
if not next month, then a little bit after that, maybe.
For all the movies I reviewed today, they are all featured on my own blog page and on the Good Media Network Movies with Meaning page. The only one that's not been posted there yet is Mr. Soul. That will be posted sometime within the next few days. So.
Awesome. If you want to share this with your friends and family, it will be on YouTube by tomorrow and back on Facebook by tomorrow. So there you go. Thank you, Brent. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Frankie.
Take care. We're going to say goodbye, Facebook.
Bye.
Yep. Bye, Facebook. And stop.